Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. My name is Rob Mahon. Raina and I began attending this church in 2008, and we immediately realized we had found the community we had been searching for. We feel so fortunate to be part of a congregation which incorporates such diversity, acceptance, and exploration of many traditions and perspectives. Our weekly worship is where we connect, share information, and inspiration. To begin, let's acknowledge this geographical place where we are currently located, the home of the traditional lands of the Tonkawa and Papaya peoples of the Coahuiltecan Band, original and indigenous stewards of this land. On that land is now San Antonio, Texas, claimed as part of the United States of America. I'd like to share with you these words from Reverend Lynn Cox. Come and bring yourself to this journey of surprise and wonder. Come, you who emerged into this place as an act of liberation. Come, you who seek a life of mindfulness and a place to test your thoughts. Come, you who bring hearts of all kinds, heavy hearts, rusty hearts, hearts broken open in revelation, hearts full of love to share. Come, you who seek courage, and you who have more courage than you realize. Come, you who stand behind the curtain, gathering up the resources to claim your truth. Come, you who have been in a bubble, you who are poised for transformation. Come and welcome. If you are new to us or visiting for the first time today, we invite you to sign in on the chat stream. We'd like to get to know you and to follow up with you. Wherever you are on your life's journey, we hope you will find your place with us.
Good morning. My name is Glenna Kachtik. I serve this church as Assistant Director of Religious Education and also on the Worship Committee. We light this chalice to remember to welcome all those who join us, to be kind to all living things. We gather around this light of hope as we share this hour together. Good morning.
We are called as Unitarian Universalists to build a beloved community where all are welcome as blessings, and the human family lives in forgiveness and grace, whole and reconciled. We know that this aim takes work, and we are committed to live and behave as a community in covenant. Let's recite our covenant that articulates our guidelines and binds us together in community. The words can be found on your screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. We gather together in spiritual community because we need constant reminders of what matters most in life. Today, we revisit a version of our theology again, and from it gather courage, love, mindfulness, and a sense of purpose. We are peoples of all ages, of different abilities, different backgrounds, different beliefs, and different perspectives. We share a covenant that we just heard, a direction for our shared journey, and a commitment to encourage and challenge one another to spiritual growth. Our path as a spiritual community will ask much from us. May we move forward with love. May we move forward with appreciation for one another. May we move forward knowing that we are not alone. May we understand more deeply that we are people of becoming. Much like our beloved nation, we have our aspirations that we continue to work to realize. As we work together, may we grow in understanding of each other and realize that we are stronger together.
As a way for us to connect as a community, you're invited to share a joyful event, sorrow, or concern by entering it on the chat string. Please let us know what is in your heart, for ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we come fully alive. Ours is a sharing community where our sorrows are heard and our joys are amplified. At this time of uncertainty, may we listen even more deeply and grow more involved and connected to each other. Let's join now in silent meditation as we write our joys and sorrows on the chat screen while Jaime plays our meditation music. I invite us all to take a deep, cleansing breath and exhale. For all our joys, sorrows, and concerns, may we feel empathy and compassion. And for all that is unspoken, may the caring of our community offer a space of deep kindness, loving, and just action.
Hello. Today I would like to share a story from Aesop's Fables. It is about a husbandman who lost his Mattock. For those of you who may not know, or for you little ones, a husbandman is one who cultivates the land, or a farmer, and a mattock is an agricultural tool, kind of like a pickaxe. So once there was a husbandman, and he would he was busily trenching his vineyard when he decided to lay down his mattock and go rest for a bit. When he came back, his tool was gone. So he called together all his hired men and asked them if they had seen the tool. All of them denied any knowledge of the tool and had not seen it. The man, the husbandman, in a great rage, demanded to find out who had stolen his tool. So he insisted that all of them accompany him to a neighboring city where there was a famous oracle in the shrine there. And no matter what the cost, he was going to discover the thief. So upon entering the city, within the city walls, they stopped at a fountain in the market square where they were bathing their feet. The town crier approached them, and in a loud voice, he announced that the shrine had been robbed. The temple had been robbed the night before, and they were offering a huge reward for whoever could help them discover the thief. Well, thereupon, hearing that announcement, the husbandman immediately turned his hired men around and headed homewards. And he said, "If this God cannot tell who has robbed his temple, the chances are that he knows as little who has taken my mattock." Well, this story is an example of questioning your beliefs. The last statement in this story from the husbandman, he is already understanding that his God, the belief that he had in his God, that his God would know everything, maybe he doesn't know everything. So some of us do question our beliefs. Some beliefs we were taught at birth, and those are our truth just because that is what we were taught. And some of us, we have many questions about other beliefs and our own. We question things like, is there even a God? Or does the God that we believe in know everything? Agnostics, some of them even have the viewpoint that in our human minds, being human, the way we are rational, the way we reason, we may not even be able to understand if there is a divinity or a God or some supernatural power, that it may or may not exist. We just can't see it. So even those that have beliefs that are their truths, question and learn and understand your truths. And that's all I can recommend with that. Take this story and learn from it, and understand that other people struggle with these thoughts as well.
Thank you, Sondra. It's now time for the offertory. The offering is a sacrament of the free church. It's supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join us. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values, which form our foundation. Our future depends on us taking deeply to heart the pain and suffering to which we respond, as well as the kindness and justice we experience as a community. You may make an offering now on our online giving portal through the link on the screen, or you may mail a check into our office. As we respond to this invitation, let's enjoy our musical anthem by Rob and Jaime.
3 years after his initial recording of What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong made a second recording with the following spoken introduction. Some of you folks been saying to me, "Hey Pops, what you mean what a wonderful world? How about all them wars all over the place? You call them wonderful? And how about hunger and pollution? That ain't so wonderful either." Well, how about listening to old Pops for a minute? Seems to me it ain't the world that's so bad, but what we're doing to it. And all I'm saying is, see, what a wonderful world would be if we could only give it a chance. Love, baby, love. That's the secret. Yeah. If lots more of us loved each other, we'd solve lots more problems. And then this world would be better. That's what old Pops keeps saying. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, a bright, blessed day, the dark, sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, "How do you do?" They're really saying, "I love you." I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, Rob and Jaime. What a wonderful song. Our church is our community. Many of us, we consider this our spiritual home. We bless it with our gifts and talents and treasure so that we may succeed in fulfilling our goals, especially in our service to one another and to our wider community. We are a stand for justice, equity, and compassion, and for the betterment of all humanity, and to our planetary home with all its residents. We are grateful for all our energies, ideas, cooperation, and contributions that make our community come alive today. Today's sermon is entitled On Agnosticism and Humanism. In surveys conducted on religious preferences, UU respondents check the agnostic option more than half the time. The agnostic descriptive statement reads, there is no way we can know whether or not there is a God. Even more, 90% plus of UUs respond favorably to the use of science and reason to understand our universe. The latter is often the question receiving the most favorable responses, 90% plus. Let me share with you about the origin of the term agnostic. The modern-day origin was coined in 1869 by Thomas Henry Huxley, the English medical doctor and biologist known as Darwin's bulldog, for his advocacy of the theory of evolution. For him, agnosticism was as demanding as any moral, philosophical, or religious creed. Rather than a creed, though, he saw it as a method realized through the rigorous application of a single principle, expressed positively as follow your reason as far as it can take you. I wonder how many of us would profess such a method. This principle runs through Western history from Socrates through the Reformation and Enlightenment to the axioms of modern science. Huxley called this principle of following science the agnostic faith. In what might seem a great paradox, Huxley was a very religious man. He saw nature and natural law as the source of his spiritual life. He believed in cherishing the noblest and most human of man's emotions by worship, for the most part, of the silent sort at the altar of the unknown. True to his professions as a medical doctor and a biologist, his God was natural order. Now, T.H. Huxley was the grandfather to famous brothers Aldous and Sir Julian Huxley. Both were Oxford-educated scholars. Aldous studied English literature and was a humanist, pacifist, satirist, a universalist, and was widely acknowledged as one of the preeminent intellectuals of his time. You might remember his Brave New World, or The Island, or Doors of Perception. Julian earned his Oxford degree in zoology and became a distinguished evolutionary biologist. Such a scholar, Julian, even though a scientist, won the Newdigate Prize in Poetry. He did research and taught at schools in England and America, and he pushed the agnosticism of his grandfather to new heights. He declared, open quote, "The idea of personality in God has been put there by man," unquote. He also said, "The ultimate task will be to melt down the gods and magic and all supernatural entities." Julian was a heavyweight in the development of what is known as evolutionary humanism. In 1933, he co-founded the American Humanist Association. He said that if there is no outside guiding force, no creator, then humankind must become the measure of itself and solely the source of the capability of improving itself. His words aptly describe humanist thought. In 1961, he wrote, "If the situation is not to lead to chaos, despair, or escapism, humans must reunify their lives within the framework of a satisfactory idea system. They need to use their best efforts of knowledge and imagination to build a system of thought and belief which will provide both a supporting framework for their present existence, an ultimate or ideal goal for their future development as a species, and a guide and directive for practical action. This new idea system, whose birth we of the mid-20th century the early 21st century are witnessing, I shall simply call humanism. It must be focused on the human, organized around the facts and ideas of evolution, have nothing to do with absolutes, including absolute truth, absolute morality, absolute perfection, and absolute authority. Now, those are the words of Huxley that I brought up to date to the 21st century, but he wrote those in the mid-20th century. Now, Julian and Aldous' grandfather, Thomas, believed that natural law caused humans to evolve wherever the natural laws were headed. Humans had no choice. Julian believed that the evolution of the human mind would allow humankind to direct their own evolution, while his grandfather had wanted to use science to learn what the natural laws were. His grandson also wanted humans to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. To Julian the humanist, humankind was capable of determining their own destiny. Witness the evolution of this idea in only 2 generations since Thomas Huxley. The truth is that even when we determine our own destiny, we can never avoid uncertainty. Not knowing is the literal translation of agnostic, and is, as many of us believe, a great part of the adventure of life. It can be said that not knowing is what makes us afraid, yet perhaps it even more makes us courageous and brave. Contemporary agnosticism has tended to lapse into skepticism or doubt regarding claims that were formerly assumed. It requires all information to be supported by evidence. Many modern scientists are empirical skeptics, admitting the possibility of knowledge based on evidence, yet holding that new evidence may always overturn these findings. Most agnostics eschew atheism as much as theism, and are equally as reluctant to regard the universe as devoid of meaning as endowed with meaning. Denying meaning is simply the antithesis of affirming it. Yet agnosticism is not based on disinterest. Founded on a passionate recognition that I do not know, it confronts the enormity of existence instead of reaching for the consolation of a belief. It strips away, layer by layer, the views that conceal the mystery of being here and being alive, and at least for me, quite often involves my own incessant pursuit of awareness of what I call great mystery, a profound underlying ultimacy, although not an absolute. The late film critic Roger Ebert was explicit about his lack of religious commitment. In his 2011 memoir, Life Itself, he said, "No, I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not a believer, not an atheist, not even an agnostic. I'm more content with questions than answers." And in so doing, he ironically expressed just how much of a religious person he was. as the free-thinking 18th century writer and satirist Voltaire wrote, "Judge a man by his questions rather than his answers." To which I respond, standing in our UU lineage, that religious traditions themselves unfold in the oscillation between questions and answers and questions. Ebert's questioning revealed for him the human and ethical aspects of religious traditions, and he realized how being raised Catholic made him into a humanist before he even knew what humanism was. He stated, "I believe my social conscience and my liberalism were founded on the teachings of Jesus." Through it all, he was anxious about the absolutes of atheism and the certainty of the pious, suggesting, "Those who say that believer and atheist are concrete categories do violence to the mystery we must be humble enough to confess." Deep agnosticism is an attitude toward life that is refined through ongoing and rigorous awareness. It may indeed lead to the realization that ultimately there's neither something nor nothing at our core. It may be focused in an intense and persistent perplexity that energizes our being, leaving a mind that seeks certainty nowhere to rest. It may also lead to a letting go that is not a cop-out like, "I don't want to know," but more of a release into the present moment with that curiosity that continues to seek its truth. Now, you may wonder why we use the labels atheist, agnostic, or humanist. Why not simply call us curious humans? Point well taken. At our core, we are curious beings with the vital ability to ask questions, to seek, and to inquire. We may not have been born with an innate knowledge of God, but we are born with a curiosity about our limits and the possibilities of immortality. And perhaps it is our questions about death or afterlife that drive our need to understand something of God. Nevertheless, in the best circumstances, we like to use our reason and do so with integrity. We extol our thinking for ourselves, exploring, challenging, and doubting. And we like to think that we're open and tolerant. UUs particularly value a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, our fourth principle. And this search also includes the use of reason, as well as intuition, hunches, flashes of inspiration, emotion, and unexplainable experiences. Ethics forms a core of my beliefs, as I know it does for many of you. It is based on love and compassion for humankind and nature. Especially humans have a responsibility for shaping the destiny and direction of this planet and our universe. Yet we must be humble and admit that we are rather small and insignificant as denizens of this wide and expanding universe. I say that life's experiences show that we do better to choose ethics as our compass rather than doctrine. Liberals and agnostics don't waste much time on doctrine, and instead devote time to understanding right behavior and what it should be as a practice. For most agnostics, the fundamental awe and wonder at the sheer complexity of existence is really no less, and maybe even greater than it ever was, even without a belief in God, and with the benefits of science. Scientific understanding does not decrease wonder at all. It enhances it. We must recognize our basic human need for understanding and wonder. We must make it empowering to our civilization in the lives of individuals and communities, through which we may establish a just and peaceful world. Like most of you, I'm compelled by my belief or disbelief to be involved in the service of the greater good of humanity and of our interdependent web of existence. As humans, we play an evolutionary part through humanistic principles that formerly have interwoven our human history from tribal gatherings to the more informed societies of classical Greece, through to the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and into our modern age of science. Let's conclude this rather long sermon with a few questions, as is appropriate for this presentation on agnosticism. What is the value of agnosticism today? Is it perhaps that it embraces an open-mindedness and open-heartedness toward the complexities of life? Maybe a hallmark is that it's willing to live with conflicting perspectives and exhibits a tolerance for human differences. Or perhaps think of agnosticism as I do, as supplying a basis for dismantling, layer by layer, the habits of mind and body that conceal the mysteries of our being here. And at least for me, provide a direct scientific and reasoned basis for understanding the experience and greater awareness of coming fully alive. In reflecting on the experiences of awareness, there are many small and nuanced things that come to mind. The momentary shift between an inhale and an exhale. The space between the darkness and the dawn. The awakening from sleep. The passage from silence into sound, and sound into silence. As we go from here today, may we release ourselves from that which holds us back and step into a new freedom to live and breathe and experience our very lives. I thank you today for your attention to the moments of awareness reflected in our worship. Worship meaning to attend to matters of worth. I hope you found worth in our words, songs, images, and feelings that were shared on the video screen and in the chat stream. Indeed, we may be together virtually today, and that's no substitute for being together in real time and space. Yet virtual togetherness like this is not nothing, and for many of us, it is life-giving and an experience of real love. Thanks to all who gave their gifts to our service today, and to those who contribute and have contributed to our church over all our years, and for all the gifts, energies, and contributions to the hope of the future we will share. May you be blessed, revitalized, uplifted, and made whole. With gratefulness, we end our worship, yet not our continued service, which is our unceasing prayer. Please enjoy our postlude from Jaime and these final moments to enter your expression on the chat stream. For those of you willing and available for some sharing during our coffee hour, we invite you to remain. You don't have to stay long. Just let us see your face. or your name on the screen if a video is not possible or desired, that we may greet you and wish you well. For those of you who cannot or will not stay, please go forward in safety and care. We hope to see and hear from you soon. Blessed be, shalom, farewell, and ashe.